My name is Anna Gersage, and I am the co-owner of the WHOLEsome Package, a custom meal prep company here in downtown Mishawaka. This is my son, Caden, and he is one of the main driving forces behind our company. So the WHOLEsome Package is a custom meal prep company that my best friend, Nicole and I came up with in 2016. One of the hard parts was finding like a home kitchen, a kitchen that we were comfortable in and that we were welcome in all of the time. We kind of bounced to a couple different kitchens the first year that we were in business, and then we found BK Club, which is our Belgian club over in downtown Mishawaka, and we've now been there for the last 3 years. So one of the main driving forces behind the WHOLEsome Package was Caden in general. In 2010, Caden was born half-term at 27 weeks. He was 2 pounds, and he had a grade 3 brain bleed, which took us from Mishawaka here down to Indianapolis to Riley Children's Hospital. We were down there for about 6 months. He had 10 different brain surgeries in the first year he was alive. When he came home from the hospital, he had a G-tube for the simple fact that he spent so much time in a hospital bed that he did not develop his swallowing reflex. When he came home with that G-tube, he was prescribed Pediasure by the doctors, all the different specialists and everything that we saw. He was sick all the time, projectile vomiting. It was like the formula was sitting there but was not being digested in his body. Do you remember getting food in your tube, your green juice and all of the green stuff that we used to put in your tube?
Yeah, beet juice.
We switched thinking maybe he had allergies, and it was obvious that that was not the case. I looked at the back of one of the cans of Pediasure, and the main ingredient and the only ingredient I could read was sugar. Right then, I typed into my iPad, what are the effects of sugar on a baby's body? And when I did that, it pretty much changed the whole course of my life and pretty much everybody that is close to me. He was not able to digest anything that he was getting in his mouth. It was all coming right back up. I educated myself. I bought this book that these 2 women wrote and kind of used it as my Bible, and found all kinds of weird things like blackstrap molasses and all kinds of other things that have minerals and vitamins and all of those things in them. I started blending food for him, and I watched him heal from the inside out from 100% food and food alone. That completely blew my mind, and so that took me from the mortgages, banking, and everything that I was kind of into at that point into an online health coaching certification that I got. My mind was just totally blown that food can be used as medicine. Food can be used to heal. I just wanted to learn as much as I could about it. So I went through a 2-year online certification and got my health coaching certification, and was kind of trying to figure out what to do with my life. I had the certification, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and at that point I started going to kickboxing classes at World Gym, and I met my best friend Nicole, the co-owner of the WHOLEsome Package, and we hit it off right away and became great friends. And she had just gone through being the caretaker of her dad who had cancer, and at that point kind of did the same thing, followed all of the same things that the doctors were telling her, pack him full of calories, get him full of calories. And it wasn't until after he passed away that we found out the truth about sugar feeds cancer. She was feeding him milkshakes and all kinds of sugar to pack those calories in, when really we should have been, getting the sugar out of his diet. So both of us have educated ourselves, and we continue to educate ourselves all of the time when it comes to food, when it comes to using food as medicine, and that is why we're here. That's what we're doing. We're trying to make healthy, fast food just as available as the drive-through window.
Just eat some fruits and vegetables.
I would say the biggest challenge with him growing up was forming my own opinion. We had a specialist for every single part of his body. And the advice, I guess not the advice, but what I was told is that he would probably never walk or talk. And when you are a parent of a child that is having head surgery or any kind of crazy surgery like that, to the point where they are almost like a vegetable at that point, it's very hard to keep moving forward and try to think of life tomorrow and life 6 months from now. One of the things that I had researched and learned a lot about was children's brains and the ability of their brains to make new pathways and to learn and to do things differently. And so, I know that a lot of kids with special needs have a lot of sensory issues. So we were constantly in the grass and playing in sand and touching pine needles and touching the bark on trees, just really anything that I could do to kind of stimulate anything, really. Because I was not going to be okay with having a kid that just sits in the corner and does nothing, and I wasn't going to be okay with having a kid who cannot be around food, because most people who are familiar with kids that have G-tubes, even the smell of food can make them sick. And I am obsessed with food. I live to eat. I love food and love to cook food, and can't even imagine having a son or daughter who wouldn't be able to even smell food without getting sick. We did numerous swallow studies down at Riley, and where they would watch him and make sure that that was not going into his lungs and things like that. So it was just kind of getting food in there, preparing for what we knew that we wanted to see in the future and that we were hoping to make happen.
Yeah.
The WHOLEsome package has affected my family in that the WHOLEsome package is kind of what all of us do. The kids are with me at the kitchen the majority of the time. The WHOLEsome package pretty much takes up the majority of our time. So the BK Club, where we cook, our Belgian club in downtown, that's kind of become a home away from home. So has the cafe. The people there are like family, and but my daughter, who is 12, is already learning how to cook. Caden is talking to people about fast food for healthy people, and they just have a lot more knowledge of what is good for them and what's going to be good for them in the long run. So much more than they ever would have had if none of this happened. Like I said before, I had never even looked at a nutritional label before in my life, so I didn't even have any clue the damage that sugar can do to your body. But my 12-year-old will tell you in a heartbeat. So yeah, just the education has been great, and that's something that I don't think that we would have ever known, because I didn't have that background, and had everything not happened with him, I don't think any of us would have had that background. So.
Hi, my name is Caden, and my mom can do a bunch of things. What I do at my mom's company is I help her with the fast food for healthy people. Some reason, somebody comes in and then somebody else tries our food.
How does that make you feel when other people try the food?
Happy. My favorite to do is to walk down the Central Park. There's this tunnel with rocks on top, and then you crawl under it. The struggle site has dry sand. It's like this pile of sand, dry sand.
So, do you like helping your mom out at the shop?
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite thing to do at your mom's shop?
My favorite thing is come by and sneak food.
What's your favorite food to sneak?
Quinoa bars. That was a good one, Mama. I think I can eat 155 quinoa bars in one day. I'm a survivor!
We're here at the WHOLEsome Package Cafe in downtown Mishawaka, part of the 101c3 co-working space. So 101c3 co-working space is an amazing collaboration space. Nicole and I actually joined this space 2.5 years ago when they first started out, and it has just been a game changer when it comes to meeting other entrepreneurs. The connections that we've seen made in this building have been crazy. I would say that for anybody that is doing anything on their own or is at all interested in new businesses, people starting out on their own, trying to come up with new ideas, this is definitely the place to be. They have a lot of events that are open to the public. Try to follow them on Facebook or Instagram to kind of stay posted for those events, and it's an amazing space. So please stop in and see for yourself. We love giving people tours and we love answering questions. We do have a pretty big following on Facebook. We just recently kind of started posting things on Instagram, so please kind of follow us, stay with us. We just partnered with a new farm here in town that actually employs autistic adults, and we'll be putting some videos about that on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. You know, people are finally understanding the importance of preventing instead of fixing it once it's broken. So the majority of our menu is gluten-free. We do have a few things on the menu. We have chicken salad that we include the Indian flatbread, so that of course does have some wheat in it. A lot of people order that with extra veggies and with no flatbread, which would then make it gluten-free. But the majority of our menu is gluten-free. We do a lot of paleo. We do have a ketogenic line of food. So our vegan options are somewhat limited. We have tried and tried and tried to kind of come up with new vegan recipes, but because we have always sold our food in local gyms, there just hasn't really been a big demand for vegan food. So now that we have the cafe, I would say we do have a little bit more of like a vegetarian and vegan following. And so we usually try to have all kinds of funky different kinds of hummus here behind the counter. We do have a couple different jackfruit options. We fooled the men's basketball team at Notre Dame into thinking that our bulgogi jackfruit was actually pulled pork, so that was pretty awesome. When Nicole and I were first coming up with a menu, we were kind of trying to come up with a healthier version of things we liked. So we both like boneless buffalo wings. The cauliflower buffalo bites have that same kind of texture. I'm a wimp and they're too spicy for me, so I don't particularly like them that much, but everybody else seems to love them. So.
Feel supported?
I definitely, so when we first started our company in 2016, we had no idea if it would take off. We had no idea if other people felt the same way we did about the quality of food they were putting in their mouth, the importance of being able to grab something quickly. I would say since we moved in here to this cafe, the support we've gotten from our community is absolutely amazing. We've had everybody from political people here in Mishawaka to local churches here in Mishawaka. We've given presentations for School City of Mishawaka. Pretty much everybody who's come through the door seems really happy, really impressed. They seem to appreciate the knowledge that we have gained on food and the different things. And they love to come in here and talk. They love to come in and chat. It's just been like the best thing that could have happened to Wholesome Package so far is the cafe. I do feel like with our food being pretty much completely on the healthy side, the gluten-free and that thing, I do feel like we're an influence somewhat in the community just because we've been one of the first to do it here in this area. Not saying that other people don't have gluten-free food by any means. I feel like when people look and they have questions or things like that, a lot of times that's aimed at us, and we appreciate that. We love answering questions. We love helping people. Neither of us are registered dietitians or nutritionists, and so we are very quick to let people know that. But both of us have done a ton of research just because it comes down to our family. You know, it was Nicole's dad, it was my son, and that's just what it comes down to when it's family and you end up finding out information that totally and completely changes your life. There's nothing to do with it other than move forward and help more people. The reason we do what we do is because we would leave kickboxing class absolutely starving and end up at somebody's drive-through window on our way to work. So it was finally like we asked the gym, why do you guys not have food? Why do we have protein shakes and protein bars and juice and all of this stuff, but there's not an actual meal you can lay your hands on? And their answer to us was, we don't have anybody to cook it. So we drove straight from the gym to the health department that day to find out, you know, what we had to do in our world in order to make that happen. And then we followed those steps, and that's where we are today.